So in all of our careers, there comes a time, okay? There comes a time to shine, a time to get started, and then there comes a time where you try to figure out what maybe the next chapter is. And I think in the sprint car world, we have some drivers that are some facing it graciously on the surface, some probably just twisted up in the heart, and some just fighting it probably with every breath in their body, that it's like, I'm not going to be a sprint car driver or a racer forever. And that reality of it is, because when you're young and you're doing it, you're invincible, and this is going to go on forever, and the trophies and the traveling and everything like that. And we have a number of drivers that are in this category. Darren has spoken so well about not sure what the next chapter is, and there's even rumblings and rumors this week where that's going and everything else. And we'll just let Darren share that when it's proper. Okay, Paul McMahon, and we had Paul on a few weeks ago on our podcast. And he wants to race, but he's perfectly comfortable if he's not racing. Shane Stewart is one that he is actively packing the resume, including 2 wins with 2 different teams with the World of Outlaws this year. Yeah. And saying, and making us all say, how in the world are you not in something? And so everyone handles this, and I think it's a fascinating point. And this is not just sprint car drivers. It happens in life. It happens in life. It happens with your job. If you're a truck driver driving up and down the road and you love being a truck driver, all of a sudden you know that, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. Well, yeah, but I want to do it. That's having a passionate job is great. Yeah. But having a passionate job makes that last 10% of it, that makes it really tricky.
Absolutely. And I think in life in general, but especially like you said, in a passionate job, you want it to be on your terms.
Right. Oh
you don't want to be forced out. You want it to be your decision.
I had this conversation with Fred Raymer. Yeah. Fred Raymer felt like he was being forced out in his next to last season. And he got together with Rob Sell. And he said, I want to put together one season. I want to go out on my terms. Yeah. And he put an exclamation point on his career going out on his terms. And when he climbed out of that race car, I think Baps was his last race. He won the National Open. Was and like Lynn Paxton, he left in victory lane of the National Open. Yeah. And Fred, in hindsight, but he'd committed to run the Baps race after it. But Fred was like, and he went out on his terms. But sometimes you can't dictate your own terms.
Absolutely.
I mean, Fred was fortunate that he found Rob Sell, whose kid had raced a little bit, but was more involved at Penn State, so that he had a really good team there, and Fred could jump down in that race car, and it was a good piece, and he can go out. And that was the year, like, he went until, like, the 20th of July without a top 10 finish. And he was winning regularly and won championships and everything else. And so it is a challenge to do it on your own terms. When I look at Fred's deal, Fred felt like he was being forced out, and he put the brakes on and said, no, I'm doing this my way. Yeah. And he did it. So many guys, very few people actually get to do that, though.
Or they try, and it still doesn't. I mean, going out on your terms usually means winning the last race you run. So absolutely. Most people don't get that.
Most don't get to do it. So, and I bring this up. But by the way, she's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. This is Wing Nation, presented by Dryden, by DRF Racing Oils, and by Hercules Tires. We have these drivers doing this, but 3 or 4 years, we had one of our friends that was going through the same thing, Joey Saldana. Yep. And so we're going to dial up Joey and talk to him. We're going to talk about a lot of things, what he's doing, life after racing as a full-time driver, dad. We're going to talk about what dad Joey Saldana is with the kids racing, and other sports. His kids are into everything.
Yeah, Reagan's a big baseball player.
Yeah. But we are also going to talk about this, what is this like, and did you survive it? Which we know the answer.
Some days easier than others.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to do that, and we're going to talk to Joey. And we love Joey Saldana. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Joey, and we'll do that here in just a minute. But before we get to that, take a listen to this. Oh my gosh, this was a guy that is not at that point in his career, Sheldon Haudenschild. Okay, it was the dash at Kokomo, the dash heard round the world. I joked around about this. We talked to Sheldon. I said that the Twitter world blew up. Okay. I learned more in 30 seconds about some of Sheldon's body parts that I didn't really need to know about. Okay, that's just the nature of Twitter was, oh my God, he must, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what happened, Yeah. It's this move here. That was the case. It was Johnny Gibson, it was Kokomo, it was Sheldon with Erin Reitzel and Donnie Schatz, and it was on Dirt Vision. Here, this move, check this one out.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
A three-car battle for the lead on the last lap. Rachel to the inside, trying to make it happen in 1 and 2. Here's Sheldon around the outside. Now to the inside of shots. Sheldon Haudenschild from third to win the dash on the last lap.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Def, the official def of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Pride. Passion. Performance. We are Team Dryden.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers, whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
It is Wing Nation, presented by Dryden, by DRF Racing Oils, and by Hercules Tires. Let's go to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us is just phenomenal sprint car racer, Joey Saldana is on the line. Hello, Joey. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, great to catch up with you. A day in the life of Joey Saldana. What are you up to? What are you working on? What's going on up there, Joey?
Well, let's see. Right now, I'm building some oil tanks for. I'm doing one for Shark Racing for Jacob Allen to run at Charlotte. They want to try it, and I got 3 Toyota midget tanks to do, and I'm doing a tank for Shane Gullibet. One for Willie Croft, a couple for Keith Day, so I'm pretty busy right now.
Wow, and now you have a new shop home build going on too, right?
Yeah, 3 years ago we bought like 10 acres out in the country, and then the way my racing was going, me and Shannon were kind of didn't really know what direction or what we'd be doing, and it's kind of weird. The last few years, actually, without racing, we're doing fine. We're doing great, and I think at first you're just kind of scared what's going to happen and where you're going to go when you've done racing all your life and it's all you know. We kind of just put it on hold, but it got to the point where we feel like it's time to do something, and my oil tanks are going great. So it's like, let's build a shop and get moved out there and lease my shop and then build a house out there. So, yeah, everything's going good for us. It's just sometimes it can get kind of scary when you've just raced for 25 years and all of a sudden there's nothing out there for you to drive full time on the outlaw circuit. It gets kind of scary.
And Joey, that's the original premise, and we want to talk a little bit about the oil tank business and how the kids are doing with their racing and everything. But we're seeing this. We saw this with you, and now we're seeing it. Darren is at that crossroads. Your buddy Paul is at the crossroads. Shane Stewart's he's scratching and clawing. He's winning races. Just that portion of your life. What is that like as an athlete, seeing that end somewhere down the road real soon?
Well, I mean, sprint car racers aren't making millions of dollars. Right. I mean, we're not, we're not like NASCAR or IndyCar or whatever. And I feel like Paul and myself and Darren and Shane, there's a handful of us. We were still the old school style where, you had a helmet and you had a seat. And that's really all you had. You had to bring talent and do the best job you can night in and night out. And hopefully you got a job year after year after year and can make a career out of it. Fortunately, I was able to do that. And I had a great mentor, my father, in my corner that, instead of wasting money, made me invest my money, which for me, I mean, you put me in them categories. I'm only 48 years old. I don't feel like I should be retired from racing, but I'm also young enough that I can appreciate where I'm at and what I'm doing and can do other things. and still be involved in racing. And that's what I'm doing right now with my oil tanks. And I'm still racing. I mean, obviously, I don't feel like I'm the caliber I need to be to race these guys and have a shot at winning, but we still put a good showing in every now and then. And then I can be home and go to baseball games with my youngest son, Reagan, and take Reese racing as much as he wants to. So it honestly, looking back, it's a win-win for me, and I'm in a good spot. I just hope the other guys can figure out where they need to be, and they can be in a good spot too.
Joey, you talked about being the old school type of racer who had your seat and would drive anything and got where you did based on your talent. We had Shane on, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, and he talked about, it started kind of in NASCAR, IndyCar, and it's trickled down where a lot of the drivers now are bringing money to a ride. Why do you think that's happened in sprint cars? I feel like for so long it didn't. There was still enough teams out there. There was still enough people that could scrounge up sponsors. How do you think that ended up trickling into sprint car racing? Is it because of the expense and the lack of money?
Well, I mean, I think there is teams with money.
Yeah.
And I think it's a side effect of motorsports. I mean, It's always been that way. Even when we had owners, I mean, owners would try to outspin the next one, and it's racing. I mean, That's what you do. The owners are dwindling down. There's just no owners out there for guys to get the opportunities to drive for. And that's the scary part. And there's guys that, I mean, even though guys are bringing money, I mean, and it does suck for guys like myself, but you still have to be talented enough to drive the car and do a good job. And I think there is guys that do that. There's guys that don't, but there is, there's pluses and minuses and everything. For myself, I'm just lucky that I was born in the era I was, and I got to race kind of the old school way. But it just seems like it definitely, for me, looking at my son, it's kind of like Shannon doesn't want him racing because she sees the side effects of the money. And, even if you got talent, people may never know you're the next Kyle Larson if you don't have the financial backing to show that. But then again, if you're good enough and you get the opportunity and you can show it, then you're going to be the next Kyle Larson. You know what I mean? Like you just have to make sure that when you do get the opportunity, you capitalize on it, you do a good job, and people see it. And I think we're seeing that with Sheldon Haudenschild. He's a great talent, and he deserves to be there. And he's doing it on strictly talent and bringing his helmet and his feet and doing a good job.
Boy, that's a really good point. We had Sheldon on our podcast earlier this week, and you're right about that. It looks like right now there's all kinds of money there, but he really actually came up the old school way and found the partners and put them together. But the money came kind of after the success, really.
Yeah. I mean, he's a testament to that's the way racing should be. That's the way it was for me and a lot of these guys. And I mean, that's what I mean. We're still seeing it. We're just not seeing it as much as we used to. Yeah. And it's scary for myself when I have a son that I would love to see being the next Sheldon Haudenschild in the World of Outlaws or whatever it may be. But you just have to make sure when you get the opportunity, you give 110% and people notice it and you get the shot.
Absolutely. Joey, you were on the road 25 years with the World of Outlaws. You come off and you're racing part-time. You've got all this stuff going on, business, kids. Are there some days that it's harder than others? Does it get easier over time to not be on the road full-time? Does it get harder? Do you miss it? Like, how does that work now that you're a little bit out from that?
Honestly, I think it was a blessing for me. I honestly think being on the road and racing the last few years, I was not doing myself justice or my owners or my team. You have to live it and breathe it, give 110%, and I don't think I was. Looking back, because I know how much better I feel and act, and I enjoy myself more. And I think it's I let the business side of it get to me to where I wasn't enjoying the racing like I needed to. And honestly, building tanks for Jacob Allen is just as enjoyable for me, knowing he could go out there and win his second World of Outlaw race or set quick time or do whatever. So my involvement's still there. It's just there in a different way, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy being home and being with my kids. And like I said, I'm still young enough that I can enjoy that part of it, and that's what I appreciate most.
So neat. That really truly is. That perspective is amazing, and you really truly are. We had a conversation earlier this week. Someone sent Erin a sports car, okay, and she is thinking about getting in the sports car and running down at Daytona on the road course to kind of scratch her racing itch that she has suppressed. You've ran limited schedules over the last couple of years with Ed Newmeister, and you pick up a little here. Does that kind of scratch that itch for you and satisfy that competitive side of you as a race car driver?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Erin, you need to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that adrenaline rush that you can't get from anything else, and especially to be able to run that kind of car at Daytona, I would jump at it just to get the opportunity. And I yeah, exactly. Just if you get to run a sprint car once in a year, it's just the coolest thing. It's the coolest race car. I don't feel like I'm as good as I need to be, but I definitely get the rush from it, and I love it. And that's what I loved when I wanted to do it at the very beginning. And but yeah, I haven't thrown the towel in just yet, but I do enjoy them moments, and they're not as much as they used to be. But for anybody, I just think it's cool to get in a race car, any race car, and just that adrenaline rush. There's nothing you can do to replace that. It's a cool feeling.
Yeah, I agree, and hence why I'm about to do it. I haven't raced anything. I think it's been 9 years, and people, I go to these races with Ray, and people are always asking me, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And I've kind of suppressed it because I know I probably, like you said, you might not be as good as you want to be, or it's been so long. But finally, I just had to give in. Like, you just miss that, like you said, the adrenaline, the rush. Joey, when you're at the racetrack with Reese, and do you get a sense that obviously you don't get the adrenaline of racing and controlling the car, but there's got to be some fun adrenaline watching your son wheel a race car?
Oh, it's the most unbelievable feeling you could ever experience. I enjoy it so much. I actually feel bad for him because I am his dad, and I was a second generation driver, and I know the pressure of that for years just ate me up inside, that I wanted to be as good as my dad. Especially like when I went to Knoxville. Knoxville just always seemed to be a place that I struggled at. And then we finally won an all-star race there, and it just kind of came full circle. And my dad had so much success there. It's just like, well, everyone wanted you to be as good as your dad. And I never could win the Nationals. I ran second 3 times, and it just eats at you because you want to be as good as your dad, or at least have people put you in the same sentence as your father. So in that respect, I feel bad for him there, because I don't want him to have that added pressure of racing and wanting to be something that he may not be. So that part of it is a struggle, because as an ex-driver, you see a lot of things happen that before they see it happen. But I know it's a learning experience, and he's got to learn and get better. But he's done a great job, and it's a proud feeling to watch him go out. And it's not about winning; it's just about progression and getting better and better, and enjoying yourself and going to the next race and just learning. And in that respect, you go to the next level and the next level, and hopefully we can continue to do that. And he wants to do it, and we can do it together.
What are the similarities and the differences between him and your young son Reagan with baseball? Something that you're competitive, you're an athlete, but it's a different sport. How is that different, and how is it similar when you go to his games?
Well, I mean, it's very similar. I didn't start racing until I was like 16. I played sports, baseball, football, wrestled all through school. So I enjoy that part of it. And I know Shannon really enjoys it. She played softball through high school. And so, yeah, it may not be her daughter playing softball, but it's her son, and she enjoys that. So, I mean, we both win with both our kids, and whatever they want to do, we're both behind them 100%. Now, Shannon might be a little bit, she might tell you that, but I'm sure she's pushing for the baseball more than the racing. But it is what it is, and we love them both, and whatever they want to do, we support them. And it definitely is, for me, an adrenaline rush watching him play baseball, getting a double or striking a kid out or whatever he's doing. It's cool to see them achieve success in anything they do.
That's awesome. I mean, being a parent now, I can relate. My daughter's just starting to get involved in sports, and I could see a glimpse of that. Joey, how has Shannon adjusted to with you life off the road? I'm curious. There's always a family dynamic. I'm sure I know Shannon well enough to know that she's thrilled to have you home and to have you at the sporting events and doing all this family stuff. But it's got to be an adjustment. I know for years she was on the road with you, but then as you had kids, it got a little harder.
Well, for us, she pretty much, supported me in whatever I did and was behind me 110%. So, really her life was Joey's life. She didn't really do anything for herself. And for some people, it's, they just want to do something to feel like they've achieved something in the day. And for her, she wanted to help be a teacher in a specials class. So really, it worked for both of us. Yeah, I came home, but she went to work. She works at a school in town, and she works with specials, and it takes a certain person, special person, to do that, and she does a great job. So in a way, yeah, I'm home, but I'm also away because she goes to work and does her thing, and I think for her, it's her way of feeling like she's accomplished something, and she deserves it. So I guess I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad, but my kids are old enough now. I don't really have to do much with them, so I just come to work and build oil tanks. But she has her own life now, and she deserves it because she's sacrificed so much for me to be a race car driver for 20-plus years.
What a story! What a story! You mentioned the oil tanks. How did this all start? Where did you decide that this is what I want to work on?
Well, it was kind of just fell into my lap. Saldana Race Products was selling out to Power Cool.
Yep.
And a friend of mine, John Godfrey, which owns Stealth Chassis and then went to Spike Chassis, he had an oil tank company too, and he was getting out of the business. He was sold his car business to Mark Cooper in California or in Australia, and then sold the radiator business to Keith Butler here in Indy. So all I had left was his oil tank deal, and knowing that Saldana was selling out to Power Cool, I just felt like it was a good opportunity for me. If this is what I was wanting to do, which was what I was wanting to do, was find something that I could stay into racing. I still wanted to be involved somehow, some way. So we talked about it, and I took over Spike Oil Tanks, turned it to Saldana Oil Tanks, and for me, I'm building tanks for Donnie Schatz and Logan Schuhart, Sheldon Haudenschild, and who else do I got now? I got a lot of the Outlaw, Jacob Allen, James McFadden, Brad Sweet. I had Darren Pittman with Roth. I had a lot of the guys that were running competitively night in and night out. So for me, a little part of me was on their cars running successful. So that, in a way, maybe was my little thing, my little adrenaline rush that kept me excited about racing and being involved in it. That, I was building stuff for guys that are running up front. So it was just something I've always done. I worked on cars. I built cars with Lee Osborne and built engines with Donnie Ray Everett. And just something I always liked to do. So I just felt like it was something I could do. And a lot of these kids today don't want to work. They don't want to work on fabricating things. And I really enjoy that part of it. So, hopefully we can continue to get better and better and build oil tanks for more and more guys. I know there's a lot of teams that don't run my stuff, but hopefully, they notice that the cars that I am building this stuff for is running up front, and it trickles down to them.
Well, it sure sounds like you're working on a few winners' cars. Yeah. Joey, how big is this oil tank business? Is it something that it's just you? Do you have employees? Are you,
It's just me and a welder, and honestly, I like it that way. I'm not really I don't want to have to hire anybody. Reese helps me quite a bit, doing some stuff, not any of the welding, but on the fabrication end of it. And so, yeah, it's just me and a welder, and that's it. My goal starting this year is like 150 tanks. I thought, that'd be a good start for me. I've never done it. If I could do 150, I'd be happy. We're at 400 plus, so I'm totally amazed, especially with this year with COVID and the way the racing has been, to be at that level at 400. I'm amazed that we're doing that much work, but I love it, and I appreciate everybody that believed in me. Paul Kistler was the first one that believed in me and said, "Hey, if you're going to do it, you can build tanks for us." So it's been a win-win for me. I mean, for getting out of racing and staying involved in racing in a little way, I'm glad that I chose this path and it's working out for us.
Amazing stuff. It really is. Yeah, and if Paul Kistler's in your corner, you're starting off on a really good spot, that's for sure. He is
Yeah. Yeah, David Gravel definitely has done a good job for us this year and keeps my tanks up front.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Joey, I appreciate your time and your insight so much as we go through this and we talk about guys in similar situations you were a few years ago, and then we hear that not only survival at the end of it, but thriving at the end of it, and content and blessed at the end of this. It is so neat to hear your story. I'm not shocked at it. I follow along, so I kind of know where you're at with it all. But I appreciate you sharing that with us and a little bit what's going on. And good luck with continuing to win races as an oil tank manufacturer.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, when you only run 7-8 races a year, I'm happy to be on your show because I know you guys got racers on here, not part-time guys, so I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Great insight. Thanks again, man.
Yep, thank you.
There we go. Wow. That's called winning.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he did a lot of that when he was behind the wheel of sprint cars.
A lot of that.
But right there is called pivoting, learning, and winning.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, that his handiwork is on, you know, sprint cars that are winning races, but it's great that Dad's at the ball games, at the races. I love the Shannon
supporting her
because she supported him. That's called winning from a guy that's won races. That's called winning on a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. Bigger perspective.
Perspective. Man, I'll tell you what. Joey's one of those guys that, as I first started into this, I chatted with a little bit, and he was always just like, he's focused at the racetrack, so he's not
reserved,
chatty.
yeah.
He's a little reserved. And at some point, when I first ran or did something, I ran the Jimmy Johnson 5K. I'm at a race, and Joey's like, I saw you ran that 5K. And because Joey's really into fitness, and he did a lot of work with PitFit and that. It started as a recovery from some accidents, and he ended up becoming into this fitness and running. And we just had that bond after that where we chatted about it. It seemed like every time we talked, it was like, oh, by the way, there's a sprint car there. You got to get in and put some heat in the engine. And that's just a wonderful, wonderful human. You see it with him and Shannon with the way they live their life and everything. And then when you hear that, it's inspiring to be like the Saldana family.
Yeah.
It really is.
Really is. And, you know, we talk about Paul, but you talk about Jan, and
Exactly.
I love the friendship that Jan and Shannon have. And if you
Those
follow
two.
them on social media, you understand.
Oh, those two. I mean, that's trouble. That's double trouble. Those two show up in your pit area, and you better batten down the hatches. But that friendship, that bond that they have, and that they can all support each other.
Such good people.
Yeah. And when you hear, we had Paul on a few weeks ago. I had him on the podcast, and some of the same themes, and that his handiwork with what he does is on race cars and still being involved with racing and still being this. And he's in a little different spot in that Braden's off to college and Kylie's off to college. I think Kylie had a birthday earlier this week. And but they're off to college, but yet he's doing this. And obviously Jan with her battle with cancer, they were, you know, the support mechanism back and forth. They're beautiful families, just beautiful families, and so neat, man. I'll tell you, just really, really fun stuff. Appreciate Joey taking some time and sharing that. So Paul, I'm fairly confident Paul and Joey may have converted about this. Darren, you guys will be all right. You know, you may survive this. You may survive the stage that you're in right now. There you have it. So, hey, one of our friends, talk about manufacturing great products. Hefner Racing Products, HRP Wings. They're the original recessed rivet wing manufacturer. They use wind tunnel and track performance testing to outpace industry in design, innovation, and functionality. Not only sprint cars, but lightning sprints, micros, junior sprints, shipped across the world, and they can be economically ground shipped right to your door.
Check out their website. It's easy to shop the entire line of Hefner Racing products. HRPRacing.com from your desktop or right on your phone. First-time online orders, use promo code MRN at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Stay with us. We got more Wing Nation in just a moment.
Pride. Passion.
Performance.
We are. We are Team Dryden.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers, whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
You know, Ford's racing roots extend all the way back to 1901 when Henry Ford won his first and only race, and extend into last October when Donnie Schatz brought a Ford Power World of Outlaws sprint car across the finish line. Another one was added to the trophy case, and, well, they even added the big National Open to the trophy case earlier this year, and that big check along with it. So that trophy case is starting to grow there in the Ford camp.
Sure is. So for anyone who loves sprint car racing, that was a banner day. It became clear the Blue Oval was back on dirt tracks, and in a big way, with a new FPS 410 engine built in America for a truly American form of racing. Ford is more committed than ever to providing grassroots racing with the contemporary power it creates.
I am so excited about this weekend. Here's why I'm excited. We have so many good friends in the state of California.
Yes.
Okay. And those people have sat and watched guys in Pennsylvania race and watched guys in the Midwest race. And the World of Outlaws didn't come see him this year because of all of this Rona crap and everything else. Okay. The headliner this weekend is at Peter Murphy's Colorado. There's
Peter
another
Murphy.
one. Peter Murphy. Exactly. But hey, man, this is great. Peter Murphy's got Colorado Speedway. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
And then the freaking Rona hits. But Peter Murphy's Colorado Speedway, the Tom Tarleton Classic, a Friday night sprint car race, $12,000 to win. Erin, this is going to be incredible.
This is big, real big.
Kyle Larson, Carson Macedo, Aaron Reitzel, Darren Pittman, Kyle Hurst, Rico Abreu, Dominic Scelzi, Tim and Bud Kading, Mitchell Facento, Shane, the list, and then you get into, just this tremendous field of California sprint car racers. I cannot wait. It's going to be on Flow Racing.
And they deserve this race.
Oh, my God. You want to talk about it? And there's names, we have from the West Coast. We just talk about Kading is kind of the first name in California. Well, if there's a first deputy, it's Tarleton.
Yep.
And to have this race and paying this purse and doing this, I just think this is fantastic for everybody.
Yes.
Because I cannot imagine being a sprint car fan or a sprint car driver team in California.
Yeah, owner, team, sponsor.
You just got to be sitting there saying,
what?
Well, they have. They've been on our show. It's like, huh, what? Governor, come on, help us out, Governor. And yet now, there's, and they get a chance to run for some money. And the only problem they have is that stinking Larson's coming to town. Jeez, God, hopefully it gives somebody a chance to do something. But anyhow, the Peter Murphy Colorado Speedway Tom Tarleton Classic is Friday night. It's on Flow Racing, and that is going to be really fun. The American Bank of Oklahoma ASCS Sooner Region wraps up its season Friday and Saturday night at Creek County Speedway in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. Woohoo! Now, they've got a tremendous championship battle. 2 points between Sean McClellan and Jeremy Campbell. Sean is a 3-time champion with 23 wins. Jeremy is a rookie. Well, hold the phones. He's a rookie with ASCS, but he's a 4-time NCRA champion and 8-time champ at You've got two big hitters going at each other for that championship. And that's really cool. And 2 nights of racing, 2 points separate them. It's going to be.
Sam Haferty talked about going. There was a few.
Yes, Sam, another one of those. Sam ruins everything. Kyle Larson ruins. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But yeah, when you get this going on, Blake Hahn last week. Blake Hahn. I mean, now granted, ASCS had 17 races or something like that. But Blake Hahn was winless on the national tour, but now all of a sudden you see his smiling face in Victory Lane last week. Here he comes. And Sapulpa, he could spit from his house and hit that racetrack. Well, I don't know about that, but so this is going to be a good one. The Sooner Region on Friday and Saturday night. You can find out more from our friends at www.ascsracing.com, ascsracing.com. Our friend Pete Walton's finally hit midseason stride because he's not even close to done this year. Okay, but so this week, we'll just talk about this week because he's got a whole fall series that he's working on now that he's.
Oh, we'll have to get him back on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need to get Pete back on. The fall series that we have coming up. But this weekend, it's the Flip-Flop 50 at Riverside. Friday, they're going to do the dash, the heats, the pole scramble. Saturday, twin 25-lap features. First one is set up from the pole scramble and the heats and the qualifying. Second one, an invert, $2,500 to win each, and a $2,500 if
I
you
like
win.
it.
Yeah, Pete Walton. So it's going to be fun. Fun stuff. But boy, 1-4-10 race this weekend.
We're getting to that point of the year.
Getting to that point of the year. Oh, my
Well,
gosh.
yeah.
This is what it's come to. I'm telling you what, most years I'm really, really depressed. This year it's like, there's part of me that's like, this is just, let's get this year over so that we can move on.
Yeah, let's get to January.
2021.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to talk about a New Year's Eve celebration for there? We're going to have a big old New Year's Eve celebration.
And I know let's just hope that we are truly improving.
There's already talk about this. And it's just already
a lot of talk.
It's just already talk.
I could cry.
2021. I mean, and I'll go back. I mean, just getting to Florence Motor Speedway for my Carolina sprint car friends and watching people camp and drinking beer after a race, and it's just so good. And it's
what we need to be
it's what we
doing.
need. It's what we need to be doing. So anyhow,
Drinking beer and going to the races.
Drinking
it's
beer.
just what we need to be doing.
That's what we need to be doing. Drinking beer and going to races. And then if you can get Mike Sellers with a beer bong, then you're really
this is our political statement here.
Yes, that's our political statement. Drink beer and go to a race. Vote for me in 2021 or whatever it is. Yeah. That might be our campaign.
Got my vote.
Drink beer. Yeah, I mean, well, the nuts that we're deciding who we're going to vote for or vote against. Now we got a shot with that campaign. I mean,
well, there's that.
Because of all of it, we're going to drink beer and go to a race. So hopefully some good races coming up this week. So really fun stuff. We have really neat apparel at www.wingnation.com. They make wonderful Christmas gifts. So you can just get it done now.
Just saying.
Just saying. Get someone a Wing Nation cap or a jacket or a sweatshirt or I don't think we have jackets. We have T-shirts and sweatshirts. Get that, and you can do that. Coming up, and follow us on Twitter and on Facebook and our YouTube page where we have so many of these interviews cataloged, and it's just fun stuff. Coming up on Saturday, I love this. We had a really good visit with Freddie Raymer earlier this week. We talked a lot about racing, and just his intensity is so good. And then we talked a little bit about the family.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. His reference to one member of his family as he's a piece of work. Can you imagine who that is?
His dad?
Yeah, exactly. It's all done well. I mean, you want to talk about inseparable father and dad, Freddie and Fred.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know my dad, he's a piece of work.
I mean,
and we talked about his social media strategy as well. Freddie's social media strategy. Yeah. So great conversation with Freddie, and that's coming up this weekend. You can catch it on Rev tonight in Canada, on Sage or on Mav TV on Saturday morning. It's Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Ashley and I handling the chatting duties with Freddie Raymer. So there you have it. So I think we're all set. So
good.
Joey has told you need to go do this racing.
I'm doing
now
it.
Joey's in Joey's confirmation.
Yep.
Okay. So there you have it. Stay tuned. Now that's next week.
Well, we're not sure. Possibly next week in Daytona, but you're supposed to have like a official license to do road racing and all that stuff. So we'll see. It's happening. It's just a matter of when.
So you got to get licensed to do this.
Well, yeah, but we said you're going to have some experience at Daytona, but it's on the oval, so I'm not really sure that
what that qualifies for. Yeah.
And
that reminds me.
It's been 15 years, but whatever.
Yeah, we're way late, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, Ricky Rudd, back in the day.
Yeah.
If you set the fastest time for each manufacturer at Darlington, you were the leader of the rookie class at Darlington next year. Ricky did that early in his career, like first or second year in his career.
Yeah.
And because he was the young guy, they nominated him as it. Ricky Rudd stood on the roof. Darlington, they used to start practice like on Monday.
Yeah.
And they would practice all day Monday and all day Tuesday. Well, one day was all rookies. Ricky Rudd standing on the roof of Darlington, and he had the authority to say, that guy can race with us, this guy cannot race with us. You know who one of the drivers that was running around the racetrack was that Ricky Rudd, young little Ricky Rudd, go-kart racer Ricky Rudd was judging? A.J. Foyt.
Really?
Who had never been to Darlington before. And so Ricky Rudd, the kid, before he became Ricky Rudd, the Iron Man and all this other stuff, Ricky Rudd, the kid, was standing on the building at Darlington going to determine if A.J. Foyt was capable of running a race at Darlington.
Oh my gosh.
So you have credentials that are maybe a little different than people in sports car racing.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, hopefully you've got a kind person like Ricky Rudd determining, because Ricky thought that AJ probably, because Ricky was he thought he was going IndyCar racing, so he just thought this was the coolest thing in the world that you're neat. Standing here. And, I mean, when he saw the name on the list, it was like, well, he's going to make it through,
Yeah.
But so good luck with that. I hope that works out for you. We'll see what happens.
We'll keep you
We'll follow along for sure. So, hey, and we'll follow along with you on our social media channels. Now we're at the stage where I'm just rambling because I love chatting about all of this stuff. And
drink beer and go to the races.
Drink beer and go to the races. Remember that as you go forward. Hey, thanks for Joey Saldana for joining us. Thank you, Erin, for hanging out and everyone remember that motto, drink beer and go to races. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation, presented by Dry Dean, by DRF Racing Oils, and by Hercules Tires.